Hey guys, this is a little different video than I'm used to doing, and I wanted to show off my geography book library. And a lot of folks have asked me what kind of books I have that are geography oriented, what kind of atlases I use and stuff. So in this video, I kind of wanted to show off what I've got. And so I've got a few different sections of geography books here. This one here is my atlases that are too big to fit standing up. These are other atlases that are smaller, or some of my college textbooks. These here are more outdoors and nature oriented, and these are travel books over here. So I'm going to go over these, and I'm going to start off with my stack of atlases first. This is my go-to atlas. I get one of these every other year, so I have all the odd numbers one, and you've probably seen these all over the place. These are just, the standard road atlas. They're just so good. The cartography is really good. The detail is really good. The way they do the different roads has done this very, very well. I take these with me on my road trips every year, and they get beat up pretty easily. But yeah, great atlases that I get all the time. And I have a bunch of these too. These are Delorme, the Gazetteers, and these are more topographic maps, nature oriented. So Tennessee one's super beat up because I use it so much. Bothers me a lot. It's falling apart. That's not good. But really, really good maps like this for topography. I take these camping and canoeing with me, so they often get beat up because they're in my boat or whatever. Because you can really see some of the water features and just how you might paddle around. The different put-ins and take-out spots are highlighted on there. So just really, really good atlases. And I have them for pretty much all of the southern states. So got Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Kentucky, Florida, North and South California, and then randomly enough, Hawaii. It's kind of cool to see the Hawaii one because you don't normally see Hawaii maps like this. Usually it's kind of in the corner of the U.S. map, and so just really, really good topography. But what this does is it blows up each island. So this is like northern Kauai. So it just kind of shows the, in great detail some of the physical geography and topography watersheds of Kauai. And of course, we do this for the whole, the whole island chain, or the ones that are at least inhabited. Yeah, really, really cool. So I love these things. I'll buy them pretty much if I ever see a used one at a used bookstore. I'm probably going to buy it if it's a state I don't have. So yeah, but I do want the one certainly for the Southeast and California where I'm at the most. And like I said, I buy these things all the time. This is one of my oldest ones. I actually have one back from the 90s that I have just kind of for reference to see what has changed through the years. But yeah, I do get those just about every other year. This one they don't make anymore. This is a really good map. I actually prefer this one to the Rand McNally one. I mean, the cartography is really, really good. The way they do the roads is done really well. But what I really liked about this one is that the blow-ups of the individual metro areas. This is really, it's done really, really well. So yeah, it's just really, really good cartography, the way it depicts the roads and the water. So I wish they made it more, but I guess it probably didn't sell very much. The Rand McNally ones are much more well known, which again, I love those too, but I really do wish those American map ones were still being made. But all right, so these are my go-to world atlases, and this is my absolute favorite. This is Rand McNally, the New International Atlas. Big atlas, really heavy. You could kill somebody by hitting him over the head with this. Fantastic cartography. And one thing I like about this one is just the great detail it goes into. With so many pages, it can just go into tons of detail. So here, you got Japan, and the next page over is going to be just central Honshu, which is the main island for Japan, where the most of the people live. Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, Kobe, Nagoya, the major metropolitan areas for Japan. So it just does lots of different detail for stuff. And a lot of times you don't get much detail in, say, Africa because it's often kind of forgotten. It's not really thought of too much when it comes to atlases, but just really good cartography. Nice blown up areas for Africa as well. So this is the Great Rift Valley in East Africa. So just really good detail on some of these regions in the world. So definitely my go-to atlas. The only big problem with this one is it's kind of old. Doesn't have a lot of the newer countries, and a lot of countries have changed their capital in the recent years or so. So hasn't quite been kept up to date. Or at least there's a new one, but this one is not up to date. This one here is my most recent one. It's a National Geographic. Not a huge fan of this one. It's the cartography is just not as good. So if you look there, you'll see a lot of words that are curved and at angles, and it just looks kind of sloppy. It's not my kind of cartography. I think it's sloppy. It's kind of busy. I think I don't know, the actual colors look good, but I don't know. I'm not big on the writing on it. But they have little blurbs for each country, and so it's a good atlas. But it's not, the cartography itself isn't the best. This is the biggest one I have. It's the older version of that National Geographic one, so it's the same cartography, same information, but obviously hardback. And this is a huge book. And when I was a little kid, my dad had the Ramanelli one of this size, and I was like a little 6-7-year-old kid with this thing in my lap, half the size of me. So I have a soft spot for these big hardbound atlases. I love the little tassel thing here. It's just an old classic style. It's not really old, but an old classic style of atlas. So there was one from the 90s, the Ramanelli New International Atlas, had the gold leafed pen. Oh man, it was so good. I wish I would have bought it back when it was new. It didn't have the money at the time, and I can't find it on eBay anymore. So that kind of sucks. But these are my like geography textbooks and other atlases. And so this was the one. This was my absolute favorite. I still love it. It's from like 95, so it's pretty old by now. But what it is, I mean, you just go, Malta. And so it's just all this information on Malta, just all kinds of the stuff you would need, the reference type stuff. It's basically, you Google Malta nowadays, you get all this stuff. This is what, before you Google Malta, you just have to look it up. So yeah, I love this book. I still love it. It's all of it's outdated, but it just goes into such amazing detail for so many different places. And so, like for example, Mozambique, it's not just these 2 pages. It goes on. It's usually 4 pages for medium-sized countries. Just all the stuff that it goes into is just amazing. And if you can find this, again, they're a little outdated, but if you can find this is a really, really good book if you're into geography, especially world geography, obviously. This is like a newer version of that same one. So this is like a better version of that. So you got Czech Republic, now known as Czechia, but it's the same type of information where it's blurbs and stuff in detail. So it's not as much about the actual map itself. They have maps in there, but cartography, this is not the greatest. You don't get this one for the cartography. You get it for the general reference info. And so it's kind of like Wikipedia in a book. But lots of other great books here. My specialization in college was climatology. So I have tropical climatology, a little more obviously in detail stuff. A textbook, and coastal geomorphology. I went to college in Los Angeles at Cal State Northridge, and I got a chance to do field studies out at the coast, taking sediment samples and just looking at wave erosion, that kind of stuff. Really cool stuff. This is my original Meteorology 101 textbook. This is what got me into the weather and climate aspects, and it's just it's super nerdy. I just love this kind of stuff: weather maps and weather predictions and dynamic meteorology, synoptic modeling. Just really good stuff. I definitely kept my physical geography textbooks because it hasn't changed. I mean, it's not like the places that got hurricanes are now all of a sudden different places, so it's still a lot of the same information. But yeah, there's a lot of great books here. This is probably the best one. This is one where you can't even, you can Google all the stuff, but man, how place names in the West got their name. So you just look up any kind of town, and it'll tell you exactly how it got its name. It's named after a person, named after a water feature, a physical feature, something silly. There's towns that are named after characters and books, and places and books that are fictional, and it's really interesting how a lot of places got their name. So obscure book, but if you're interested in stuff like this is a great one to find. This one just covers the western U.S., but there might be other ones for the eastern U.S., but really, really fantastic book if you want some kind of like really interesting offbeat information. Lots of good stuff here. I'm not going to go into all these books. It would take forever. This video is like an hour long, but this is more nature and outdoors oriented. So, for example, this one here, California Field Atlas. And so what this one is, it's going to be stuff like, here's a section on Yosemite, but it also covers all kinds of stuff like birds and wildflowers, animal tracks, scat tracks, how to identify trees and edible plants, and just it's a field atlas, so it looks old, but it's meant to look old. It's new, but really really good book. Now this one, these two are really old. This is the Guide to the Appalachian Trail. It's like from the 1940s. I didn't even realize the Appalachian Trail was that old. But it's almost like tissue paper. It's like so fragile, and has pull-out maps of individual sections on. I'm not going to pull them out because it's really old. Really good maps, but the detail on here is crazy. So they'll say something like, from the dirt road through Jarman's Gap, 0.12 mile east of Junction on that road, follow graded trail north, blah blah blah. You were meant to carry this book on the Appalachian Trail. This thing is kind of heavy for something. You wouldn't carry this nowadays. It would just take way too much space and too much weight in your pack. But it's pretty funny that it was designed to carry on the AT. This one here, camping book. It's like 100 years old. This is just I got to be really careful. I love it. But it just goes over all kind of stuff. Edible plants, axemanship, marksmanship. Just building a lean-to shelter. Accidents and emergencies, living in the country, nature's guidepost, trips afoot. I mean, just really, really cool. Concentrated foods. Just, the kind of stuff you would need for a 100-year-old outdoor adventure. So, yeah, really cool book. I don't like to open it very often because this is how fragile it is. But again, pretty cool. These are a lot of these are going to be national park guides, canoeing stuff. Animals, like I love salamanders. It's one of my favorite animals, and this goes over salamanders, and it shows their range. Fascinating animals. They're absolutely my favorite. They're so cute and slimy. I love them. But I love, the geographic aspect. It's not just biology; it's the geographic aspect as well. So it's the the biogeography, because where I'm at around Chattanooga, it's the caving capital of the world. There are more caves around here than anywhere else. And so salamanders are big-time cave dwellers, and you have the largest number of different salamander species around this area. Another one like this, Sequoia Groves of California. I'm from near Sequoia National Park, and just kind of goes over the individual groves. Like, some of these are way off the beaten path. Like, you have to really, really get back there by backpacking to see some of these. These are not the ones off the side of the road. You can see at Sequoia, Kings Canyon, and Yosemite, but just really, really good information. Very, very detailed on the botany and just some of the stuff about these different sequoia groves. Hiking books, again, caving, canoeing, that kind of stuff. These national park ones are really good too. This is more kind of generic. This is what you would get as a pretty popular travel guide for national parks, hiking trails, and just different details for things. This one's been pretty beat up because it was actually taken to Zion and Bryce and got used quite a bit, and got beat up. So I'm going to move over here a little bit. And these are travel books, and I have not been to most of these places. I get these if I see them. These Lonely Planet books are really good. So I buy them when they're used, and they're after a few years old. Travel books aren't worth much of anything. This one I've used quite a bit because we've been to the Caribbean several times. We're going to go back again in December. So just really good books. One thing I like about these is that it's not just hotels and restaurants and what to do and the best beaches. It's all kinds of good information about these places. And so I like it for that. But the gold standard for travel guides are these, the Bratz. They're the ones with the green side. These are so good. These are really, they're more like educational texts, because, so much of what is in these things, like it's talking about the habitats, plants, flowers, the birds, mammals. Just what travel guy is talking about this? Reptiles, amphibians, freshwater fish, and crustaceans. There's so much stuff. And these music and dance, painters, sculptors, other artisans, practical information. So this is stuff that these books are written by expats. So these are written by people that actually live there. So that's why these are just really, really good. It's not just somebody that's like a travel writer. These are, I live here, so this is what this place is like. Here's some of the way off the beaten path things that you're not going to see from most tourism guides and stuff. So these are all the really good books. And of course, I have to have this. This one's pretty old, but it's just entirely just New Mexico. Just so much great information. Yeah, I mean, just all these books. I'm just having such a good time going through all these, like a kid going through his toy box. But yeah, these are just, it's just so fun to have all these. And people have asked, are you just do a YouTube channel, or do you do geography for fun? Or, I mean, this is my passion. So I'm just fortunate enough to be able to make videos about the stuff I love to do. And then, okay, we got the Stephen King ones up here, but even these are kind of sort of geographical, because every time I read one of his books, I have it open to Maine on the atlas, because he's always talking about different towns in Maine, and like, I'm off of Highway 7, and I'm like, well, okay, where is that? And I'm looking at the map of Maine. So even Stephen King's got geography. So, but yeah, I just love all this stuff. I got a lot of other stuff and downstairs too, but I did want to also show these. I love collecting these. If you've been to national parks, you probably have some of these as well. Got about 40 of them or so from just the different places I've been. Just covers all kinds of parks all throughout the country. Yeah, yep. I mean, so yeah, I got about 40 or so of these. Maybe pick up a few more this year, depending on where we go. But yeah, really exciting. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's kind of just boring me talking about my books, but I know a lot of you guys that are follow this channel are really into geography and really nerdy. So a lot of folks have asked again about these kind of books I have, and if you have any questions about some of these, all these are really hard to find. They're kind of old. So if you have any questions about any of these atlases, or which ones I think are good for what, for different types of applications, let me know, and I'll hook you up with some good answers, hopefully. But yeah, hopefully this didn't bore you too much, and I'll get back to normal videos with my next ones. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Bye.